If you are here for the webinar with the CARE TA Center, Understanding the Impact of Collateral Consequences for Justice-Involved Individuals, you are in the right place. Thank you all again for being here today. As folks are getting their audio on, please feel free to type into the chat box. I'd love to know who's in the room. So please type your name, your county, your organization, and let us know what are you looking forward to learning about today. I'd love to hear from folks what you're expecting from the session today. And so just very quickly, some initial disclaimers. I want to say that the views, opinions, and content expressed in this presentation don't necessarily reflect that of our funder, the Department of Healthcare Services. And for anyone to note, if you have any tech challenges, please feel free to type into the chat. In case of any large scale or major security issues, we'll close up the room and you'll receive an email on any correspondence thereafter. A little bit about the CARE TA Center. So my name is Ayana McGee. I am the Associate Project Director of the CARE TA Center. And what we do is we work to strengthen the crisis continuum in justice diversion services with the goal of helping all Californians access appropriate wraparound services and supports. And so we provide training, technical assistance, and resources for behavioral health coordination and response among Mental Health Services Act funded stakeholders and partners. And so if you go to our website, care-mhsa.org, you'll see there that we have a plethora of resources, including some of the webinars that we've had in the past and a listing of the webinars upcoming that we'll be looking forward to, of course, over the next few months to a year. You can also sign up for our newsletter to stay in touch with what we've got going on over here. And also you can sign up for individualized TA. And so if your organization, you're looking for individualized assistance for any supports with your services, we're happy to support you. So feel free to go to our website and access those resources. And also you'll find on there an asset map listing out all of the resources related to MHSA for the crisis care continuum and justice diversion across different counties. And so if you're a county organization looking to connect with other counties or looking to understand what other resources and supports you might have available to you, please check that out and get connected. And so with that, today, Daryl McGraw is here to talk about understanding the impact of collateral consequences for justice-involved individuals. This is part 2 of our session that we held last week. And so if you got any returning folks, we're very much welcome and happy to see you again today. So with that, I'll pass it over to Daryl to talk about what you'll be showing at this session.
Thank you, Ayana. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? Peace. Thumbs up if you can hear me, if you can see me. If this is your first time here, put your seatbelt on because I train a little differently. Today, we're going to do it a little different. We're going to actually be watching a video of a training that we did previously, but then I'm going to be interjecting. If you got questions, jump in, feel free to ask them in the chat box. I like to keep that chat box popping, so I like to keep Ruth and Ayana busy, right? So y'all keep that chat box on fire. We're going to do this. If you're doing all right today, you happy that you're in the building, and throw your thumbs up so we know that your virtual thumbs is working. If you've seen me before, throw some hearts in the air. I love the hearts all day. I see a couple people with their cameras on. I appreciate that. Leonard, Crystal, Miss Mary, how you doing? How y'all doing? Love the cameras. Love it. Okay, Anna them popped in the building. Making sure if y'all go get something to eat, feel free to Grubhub me, send me a little something because I'm hungry. All I got is water and gum right now. Yeah, looks like we have lost limit or block access to employment, housing, education, and other rights. Those of you that work with justice-involved individuals are very familiar with a lot of the barriers that come in place. And identifying barriers, at least 2 barriers to successful reentry for justice-involved people, and describe the desperate impact of collateral consequences on people of color. I'm super excited to present on this. I'm hoping you guys got your pens. Get right into this. We're going to talk about civil death. I'm not sure if many of you have heard this term before. It's a historical term. I want to make sure it was good. It dates back to early English colonists, right? They introduced the common law practice of civil death. a set of criminal penalties that included the revocation of voting rights. Now, many of you know that formerly incarcerated people or justice-involved individuals who have felony convictions, many of them have lost their rights due to their criminal convictions. The early colonial laws limited disenfranchisement to the most egregious offenses. Now, basically, a felony, it doesn't have to be egregious. It could be a felony and you can lose your right. One felony conviction can lose your right. And we know that there are many different felonies that, it may not be egregious as back in colonial times, but still could cost you disenfranchisement. And that's what we're going to talk about specifically today, the collateral consequences of getting a felony conviction. And let's jump right into it, man. Civil death, understanding what that is, like that losing the rights to vote, it actually just being engaged to any type of education, employment, being barriers to employment. So this like almost like the term, I love the term when we put this together, when we started to talk about civil death, as it says, the common law practice of civil death, setting criminal penalties that include revocation of voting rights, and many other those collateral consequences. Many of us are familiar with the collateral consequences of that criminal record. And then more and more work that I do in this field, the more and more I learn, like in states like Utah, they actually pay landlords to not rent to people with criminal backgrounds. In other states, they charge fines for this. And in your state, all these different reasons, barriers to keep people with criminal records from excelling, exceeding, getting forward after you've served your debt to society. You're still, many of us can relate to that life sentence, right? Many of us can relate to, y'all know what I'm talking about? Thumbs up. I don't care if your camera's off. On, let me know that I'm talking right. That talking about like separation, keeping us out of actual systems, right? Oh, Miss Mary, you must ain't seen me present before. We going on a journey. One of the consequences we'll be talking about is voting rights. When we start to look at the collateral consequences, and there is, the national inventory, we want many of you who are watching this and that work with justice-involved people to get yourself familiar with the NICCC, the National Inventory of Collateral Consequences of Convictions. This is where you can go in and actually see what the consequence will be for particular offenses. It is an amazing tool. I know that I have been, and me being, when I put my advocate hat on or my activist hat, I encourage criminal justice systems, lawyers, prosecutors to look at this before people get sentenced. Now, that's in a perfect world. Of course, this is what I would want. I don't think it's happening in certain places as it does. I'd like to see it happen more, because taking into consideration what the sentence it might not just be a 5-year sentence. It could be a life sentence of not voting. This could be, so even after the person has paid his or her debt, their debt to society, they still may be affected by these consequences. So I wanted to mention that in that I'm not going to push the video back, but that NICC, and I believe Ayana or Ruth, you guys can help me with putting that in the chat. Understanding that, I wish that I knew when I was going on my journey, and 90% of the cases are solved in our states are solved through plea bargain. I wish that I had that tool back then, because a lot of us plead guilty to things and not knowing what the collateral consequences can be. So we need to start educating people in our communities, understanding, like, especially our young people that are going through their cycle or going through the systems now, understanding that, okay, if you plead guilty, you may not be able in this state to own a barbershop when you get out. You might not never be able to be an electrician or certain. So in each state, there are different collateral consequences. We as advocates, activists, as people that provide services that are just to justice-involved people, really need to be knowledgeable about these national inventory of collateral consequences. I definitely want you checking on this site. This should be in your toolbox. This should be something that we all are knowledgeable about. So when we're actually talking to communities, people, politicians, because some of these laws need to change. So make sure that you're utilizing this tool. I encourage you to go on this site, put your state in, and look these places up. Look up what the collateral consequences are for felony convictions. It will be enlightening, guys. I bet you there are some that you didn't know about, because I know when I went to my own state in Connecticut, I was surprised about a lot of things that I found. Nationally, 72% of collateral consequences impact employment, right? Many of us know that. Many of us that work with justice-involved individuals understand some of the barriers of helping an individual's returning home, family members. Everyone's always calling me saying, Daryl, I got this person that just came home and they're trying to get a job. They're struggling with jobs. And, sometimes brothers and sisters come home and they want to start their own business. They might want to be a barber. They might want to be a hairdresser. They might want to work in the construction field, might want to do landscaping. Well, some of those positions require licensure. And because of your criminal offense, or because of the individual's criminal offense, they may not be able to get licensing. Now, why is this important? This is important for you if you are working with justice-involved people, to let them know what some of the barriers are, so they don't have unrealistic expectations, if you will, when they come out and want to say, I want to start my own business. Not to deter them, but to say it might be some challenges. We may need to take some steps before we can actually pursue you owning your own business because of the collateral consequence due to your criminal record. You guys with me? You guys follow me? Come on, man. We got some more stuff for you. We got some great information for you. This is an important topic, and I'm hoping that you are writing these down and following along. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I want to thank the CARES team for always inviting me and having me do presentations here. So when we talk about collateral consequences, they don't discriminate. Collateral consequences attach not only to felonies and incarcerated individuals, but also to misdemeanors. So you don't have to have a felony to have a collateral consequence. And people who have never been incarcerated. So when we talk about justice involved, right? We talk about formerly incarcerated. That means an individual who is formerly incarcerated. But then we say justice involved, which also includes someone who was formerly incarcerated, and the person who may be justice involved. This individual may have been arrested, may have went through court and been sentenced to probation or community corrections. So they have been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor, yet they have never served any incarceration time. So we want to make sure when we are offering programs and services, it's always better to err on the term justice involved. That covers everybody, because unless you're only targeting the formerly incarcerated people, because when you're targeting formerly incarcerated, or you have programs that are set up for formerly incarcerated people, then you might want to just say formerly incarcerated. But if it's a program and you want justice involved, then you want to say justice involved. Just giving you a little language. I know the language changes and people don't know what to say these days. We'll try to stay away from offender, ex-offender. I know it's common terms in law enforcement, but those of us that are in the criminal justice reform community, we would like to use more person-centered language, more language that is acceptable and humanizing, if you will. Come on, you guys with me? Let's go. So one of the things that stand out the most when we start to talk about collateral consequences is voting rights. In 2016, 6.1 million Americans were prohibited from voting due to the laws that disenfranchise convicted felons and offenses. Shout out to my friends in Florida. If you're watching, we're watching you. We've seen that you guys made some moves. I know that the struggles are still going on down there, but my friends in Florida made it possible for, I believe, 1,500 people to vote last year in one of the largest elections. But then they ran into some pebbles and boulders that we're going to talk about later on as we move forward. But the felony disenfranchisement rates vary from state to state. So there are some states that after you're off paper, after you're no longer have any supervision or requirements to the criminal justice system, you can vote. Like in my state, in Connecticut, where I am at, you can vote after you have no more, you don't, or you're not on parole, you're not on probation, you can still vote. In other states, you're banned for life. So we need to look at those. We need to look at those things and be knowledgeable. And for my advocates and my activists, this next slide is for you. If your state is on one of these lists and it's not in a good setting, then it's time for you to do some work, right? So in the District of Columbia, Maine, and Vermont, shout out to Maine and Vermont for always being progressive in certain areas, especially when it comes to criminal justice reform and treating people as humans. You never lose your right to vote, right? Whereas the laws in other states like Arkansas, Alaska, Georgia, Idaho, right? The loss is until the completion of sentence. My state should be on there. Connecticut should be somewhere around there. I think it's next. Loss until the completion of the sentence, parole or probation, automatic. It's automatic restoration. Here, these states, lost while incarcerated, automatic restoration after release. We have just moved into that because I remember when I got my voting rights back, I believe I had to sign some documents, but now we have the automatic restoration in Connecticut and Hawaii, my friends in Hawaii and Michigan, and I got friends out there in Montana and New Jersey. And shout out, all the states that are making that automatic restoration happen, making people available to vote again. And then the loss of until completion of sentence in some states, post-sentencing, waiting period. That's another thing. In our state, in Connecticut, I know, and in some other states, you can vote while on pretrial. So while in pretrial status, you can be incarcerated and actually file an absentee ballot. A lot of people didn't know that. I just wanted to add that in there. And waiting period and additional post-sentence waiting period and additional actions required for restoration. So in Mississippi, Kentucky, Florida, in Delaware, Arizona, there's some additional requirements additional steps that you would have to take in order to get your voting rights back. So depending on where you're at. So, this is very important. This is why we let the video go a little longer, is that this is very important, the voting rights. How many of you know in your states, if you have a felony conviction, do they take your votes? Do they take your voting rights? Do anybody know? Throw it in the chat box in your state. Can you vote with a felony conviction? Can you not? Do you lose your rights for life? Do you know? These are questions that we're asking. Let me know how it's going down in your state. If you because these, I think Carice asked a pretty good question about the advocacy piece, right? Can we advocate to change any of these consequences? And that's what this is all about. This is why we're having these conversations. This is why we come together as a community, because we need to talk about advocacy. A lot of this work, we worked on Ban the Box. And recently in Connecticut, we just worked on this a version of the Clean Slate. And I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Clean Slate, but this is where you actually, after a certain period of time, certain felonies are removed from your criminal record after a 5-year period. After a 5-year period, certain misdemeanors are removed from your criminal record. After a 7-year period, certain felonies are, and that took us a long time. That took us years, decades to try to get something like that going. We haven't seen the results of it yet, but we need to keep advocating and keep fighting. And this is why we're here. If you ever need us, the CARES team, myself, just reach out and we can see, we need to come together because we're stronger in numbers. And this is a we thing, not a me thing, right? So I see, looks like California upon release and PA restored upon release. Anybody else familiar? And if you don't know, you should check and find out where you're at, because that's a big deal, because change definitely happens at the local level in the voting box, especially those that have sheriffs. If you have a sheriff and you vote the sheriff in, or you vote the state's attorney, the head prosecutor, those places, that's where the changes happen, because we need to be checking in with people and finding out where do they fit, especially our local politicians. Where do you fit with criminal justice reform? Because if they're not with you and we're in line with what you're thinking, you can't vote that person in because you already know who's going to be the product. You already know who's going to. Then they start talking about sneaking private prisons into your backyard. That's trouble. Especially if you're a Black and brown person, you should be very concerned about private prisons coming to your state. It varies from state to state. So many times, and if you've heard me speak before, I talk about the AP room philosophy. This is a philosophy that I have coined, a phrase that I have coined myself, and I use it when we're talking about collateral consequences or we're talking about justice, criminal justice reform. While recent tough crime policies may be getting people, let me rephrase that. While recent tough on crime policies may be effective in getting people to commit crimes off the street, right? So as we're looking at these policies that have people that are focused on getting people off the street, right? So what I always say is a lot of states, my state included, is very good at incarcerating people, right? They don't have a problem getting us locked up, but it's the transition home that there's less work on. So the AP room, admitting and processing. When you get incarcerated, you go into what is called an AP room, admitting and processing. And those of you that have never been incarcerated, you've seen it on the movies, is where the strip search happens, and they take your personal belongings, they take your dignity, and they take everything from you, hand you a jail uniform and a bedroll, and you go inside the facility. Every time you transfer from one facility to another, you will go through an AP room. Some people say it's A and B or A and D room. Still, AP room, admitting and processing is where you get your rule book and all these different things. But when you release from prison, there's no AP room, my friends. There's no admitting and processing you back into the community. There's no systems or set up national systems that a person would go into the AP room. In a perfect world, there would be an AP room in the community that would give you what? That dignity back. That would give you your clothes and your whatever it is that you need to be successful. So that's what we're working on as we continue to do this work on criminal justice reforms, working with policymakers. We need to be able to create an AP room like facility that a person can go back into when they get back into the community. You guys follow me? You guys with me? So everyone gets to go to prison, right? We say that to say that, many of you that do this work or work with justice involved individuals are very well aware that America incarcerates more people. Like, we lead the incarceration rate, whereas we've seen a 600% increase, right? We have the highest incarceration rate in the world. So why does this matter? This matters because we know that 95% of the individuals that are currently incarcerated are coming home. So that means as communities, we need to be prepared for these individuals to come home, but not just be prepared for them to come home, but be prepared for them to come home and help them re-enter the community so they can have some form of success in life, right? We cannot have this conversation without talking about mass incarceration and the actual racial disparities that are in the criminal justice system. If you look at this graph, I'm hoping you guys are taking notes, writing pictures down, because this is important as we continue to move forward in criminal justice reform. We know that our legislators are talking second chances. We know that they're talking about criminal justice reform coming back into our, looking for ways to change the system. But let's look at, when we look at the 1 in 3 Black males will be incarcerated at some point in their time, compared to 1 in 17 white males and 1 in 6. So we already know that there's some racial disparities within the criminal justice system, right? When we look at white women incarceration rates, it's 1 in 111 compared to 1 in 18. Did you guys hear me? 1 in 18 Black women, 1 in 45 Latin my Latin ex-women, and all women together, 1 in 56, and all men is 1 in 9. So we're seeing these disparities. It's no secret, but it's something to look at when you look at this. Hold on, man. Y'all know I couldn't stop. Y'all know I couldn't let that go, right? Y'all know I could not let that go. 1 in 111 white women compared to 1 in 18 Black women locked up. And these rates are increasing, right? And 1 in 45% of our Latinx. And, you know, I struggle with the Latinx piece because a lot of times it's up to the discretion of the individual that's doing the screening. A lot of times they make the mistake of calling people white when they might be from a different culture, definitely not white, but yet they like to claim a lot of people. The only people they can't claim is people with the skin, dark skin like mine, right? But let me tell you, because I grew up with my brother Jose. Now, Jose lived right down the street. And Jose on his jail ID forever said white. I said, Jose, you know you're not white, man. I know your people. I watched y'all cook a pig in the yard. I seen you, right? And Jose said, listen, brother. He said, when I first came to prison when I was young, a CO told me he's going to make me white so I could get programs. And Jose always got out of jail quicker. Always got out of jail quicker. And he passed through I don't know if it worked anywhere else in the world, but in prison, that's what he went through prison as, even though, and that happens a lot. You know, when we start to talk about racial equity work, we talk about people when coming into this country, if they're very fair skinned, somebody might categorize them as white, and then they have to identify. Imagine that struggle, that internal struggle. That's another training we talk about the next time when we cares, when we get together. But I want you to understand that, you know, these racial demographics are important because when you're working with these populations in your communities and they're coming through your doors, we need to be able to make sure that the people get the proper services that they need. And when we're advocating and we're talking to politicians, we need to be talking about who are we servicing and who do we see the need the services the most. I appreciate you acknowledging and y'all seeing about that AP room comment, because I talked about the AP room and we can't talk about that enough. The fact that there is no smooth transition process for individuals coming home when you go to prison. Anybody that's been to prison on this Zoom, you know, when you go to prison, they take all your stuff, they take everything, they give you an ID and a rule book. And every prison you go to, they give you an ID and a rule book and they tell you to keep it moving. When you get out of prison, they say, all right, see you later. So there is no transition process back into the community. This is why it's the onus of those of us that do this work, those of us that are in the communities to create that space so we can make sure, because people need to understand, okay, now you are leaving one place. You see, they get you prepared to go into a prison, but they don't prepare you to come out into the community. And that's why we see recidivism rates so high, because we're not preparing people to transition back out. Understand that this is all by design. They tell you, okay, good day. Your time is done. They done took everything from you, your dignity and everything. They didn't teach you nothing, sent you back into the world. There has to be a process for people to transition back into the community. I mean, you're talking about 18 and 1 in 3 Black men coming home. So many of us have cycled through this system. Many of them are all types of Black, brown, you know, are American, American Indians. And I don't even like to say American Indians, but, you know, I want to say that all of our BIPOC communities, right, struggle with this and cycle in and out of this system. But there's no system, a solid system, a national system that transitions people back into the community. Y'all with me? I'm trying to make sure my Zoom is good, making sure y'all can hear me. I want to make sure, so hit me with some thumbs up. Let me know we talking right. Understanding once again that we will say this again, 95% of the individuals that are in prison are coming home. We can't control how they got in, but as a community, we need to make sure we are conscious of how they come home. If you with me, man, let me know. Let's guide here. And you start to really look at the data, who's really being impacted by the criminal justice system? Who is being affected? When we start to see that African Americans are incarcerated 5 times more than whites. Oh, y'all not ready for this? You're not ready. The prison rate for an African American woman is 2 times that of a white woman. And if an African American and Hispanics were incarcerated at the same rates as whites, hold on, let me say that again. Are y'all paying attention? Y'all not paying attention. Listen up right here. A little closer. You listen to what I'm telling you. If African Americans and Hispanics were incarcerated at the same rates as whites, prison jail populations would decline by 40%. Hold on, I'm gonna let that marinate. Decline. I don't even know if we should say that again. Because, maybe the video, I know some of y'all got that Boost Mobile set up at home, and y'all might not have heard that clearly. If Blacks and Hispanics were incarcerated at the same level as whites, the prison population would decline, go down. For my people that, I don't want to use these big words, right? Decline, go down, almost like bang. So understanding that, we really need to do the math to that and really understand what that means. So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep it going. I really want you to hone in on that by 40%. In 34 states, people who are on parole or probation, we're going back to these collateral consequences. I want those racial disparities to marinate, but I want to make sure that we understand collateral consequences. If African Americans and Latinx people are higher incarcerated, then who are these consequences affecting? Who are not getting the jobs? Who are having trouble finding housing? Who are struggling with taking care of their families, right? So we need to be talking about change as we move forward as a country, and everyone is talking about racial equity and inclusion work. We need to be starting here at the criminal justice system, because these are where we see many Black and brown people affected greatly. And then when we talk about collateral consequences, we talk about long-term effects, right? So let's just jump right here just so you make a note of this. 34 states. In 34 states, people who are on parole or probation cannot vote. In 12 states, a felony conviction in the 12 of the states, and we just seen some charts. In 12 states, a felony conviction means never voting again. So your rights are gone based off of a decision you made. Now, some may be saying, well, can't do the crime, don't do the time. Well, we already know that the criminal justice system is unjust at times, right? And many times individuals end up in the criminal justice system, not based because they're criminals, based on that they're poor, based on environmental issues, based on situations that may, or that have a lot more to do with the environment or a situation that a person was in versus just wanting to commit criminal behavior. So we need to recognize that, my friends. I am going to take some water because this is my topic. I love being in. Before I take that sip of water, I want to ask you, how many people, and I don't want to put people on the spot, but what I will say is, how many of you either are justice involved or know someone that is justice involved that has pled guilty to something that they didn't do? By a show of hands, understand that they pled guilty, right, to something they didn't do, I'm going to raise my hand because for reasons to go home early, to get out, didn't want to go to trial. They didn't have the resources to fight the case. How many of you are familiar with people that have done that? Because a lot of times we work with people that are not familiar with these things happening, right? And then so those collateral consequences don't change for those people because you didn't do it. Or I just pled guilty because they told me I was going home. Or I just pled guilty because, you know what, I wasn't going to fight those people. I just pled guilty, right? Yet we treat them the same, right? So you still can't get a job. Nobody cares. And you know what? You'll get somebody in your office or you'll get a politician to say, well, I would never plead guilty to something that I didn't do. Yeah, you've never been in that situation where they said, listen, either you take this or you take it to the trial. And then you know what? There's a bunch of people sitting in prisons right now, y'all know, across the country that didn't do it and are still fighting for their innocence right now. And you know, the sad part, there's a people that have been put to death, innocent people that have been put to death. So we got to understand we need to be the voice. I believe that anytime we get together with CARES and C4, we are creating disruptors. We are disrupting this system by educating and providing knowledge so your voice can be louder. Come on, man. Y'all getting me started now, man. I'm getting riled up. Able to talk about this is so important that we're having this conversation. Once again, shout out to CARES and C4 for allowing me to make this presentation. So when we're looking at the collateral consequences of conviction, the ineligibility for government contracts and being banned from program participation. There's many times, because I have a criminal record, I have a felony conviction, there's certain things I cannot do, not just not owning a firearm, right? But we're looking at things like maybe entering a military base. Like I remember just from lived experience piece that there was a carnival on our Navy base. And I wanted to go on and you had to show your ID and they ran my ID and they said I'm not allowed on the base. So I wasn't allowed to take my children to the carnival on the Navy base based off of decisions that I had made previous in my life before I decided to get my life together and be this positive role model in my community and a dad, right? So those decisions that many people have made, maybe even when they were juveniles or maybe when they were made as young adults, still affect them today. Collateral consequences arising from juvenile adjudications. We just talked about that. Collateral consequences that derive from obligations, like making a business license. We talk about that, or lifetime supervision, and like so certain places you never be able to live, right? Many of my friends that are incarcerated who lived one place, but because the housing complex is under government federal funding, many of us can't live there because we have a criminal conviction. So these are things that we need to be looking at. Restriction on family relationships, living arrangements, custody issues. So these collateral consequences are something that I'm hoping everyone that's paying attention to this is really taking it serious and looking at ways that we could, as a people, as organizations. Just real quick, those of you that work with juveniles, raise your hand, throw your hand, throw a thumbs up. You work with juveniles or young adults, 18 to 25, understanding that there are many brothers who were talking about this before we actually jumped on the Zoom today, talked about the fact that there are many people that are incarcerated that are doing large sentences because of choices they made at 16, 17, even 18 years old. Many of us know now, and the data shows that the brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25. So understanding that these people are in prison based off a decision that they made before their brain was fully developed. Now in Connecticut, we have this thing called 1584. And in the 1584, we are actually reviewing the cases. The prosecutors are actually reviewing the cases of individuals who were sentenced at 16 and 17. And if they were sentenced at that time, they review the case and see the progress that these individuals have made since they've been incarcerated. And many of them, I'm going to tell you, because I work with a bunch of people, do you know many of them have never been in trouble since? And they've been in prison 20 years? They don't have no tickets, no nothing, no fighting, no nothing. A lot of times they are getting CNA degrees, got degrees, and never been in trouble again. So here's this person, 20 years, they grew up in prison. And I don't know if you've never been to prison. Let me tell you, that's not the place to grow up. But to grow up, do all your puberty, everything you learned was in prison. And then now at 26, 30 years old, you're being reevaluated to be released. Now we got to work with those individuals and teach them technology and teach them how to survive. And the number one thing that the brothers ask me, they want to learn about relationships. And that's something we don't even talk about in reentry trainings. When we're talking about reentry, y'all do reentry work. How many of y'all doing relationship work? Relationships with your partner, relationship with people, relationship to the community. How many of y'all are actually doing relationship work? If you're not talking about relationship work, You just setting them up. It's great to go to NA, but if I don't know how to deal with people, I'm a hot wire. I'm a wild card in the NA meeting if I don't know how to act. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Come on, man. We ain't come to play no games. Nations, as individuals, look to change these factors. Because why? Roughly 600,000 people, my friends, 600,000 people leave prisons every year. And when they leave, many believe that, well, I did my time, I served, I paid my debt to society, and they're hoping that, the sentence is over. But then when you go and you fill out that application and they say, oh, you have a great interview. You have a great interview. They love you. They're oh, man, they're rolling out the red carpet. And then it's time for the background check. And then they're telling you they can't offer you the employment. Even though you interviewed well, you qualify for the position, you cannot get the job because of a decision that you made many years ago. Based off of that criminal conviction, you no longer are eligible for the job. Wow. Many housing places, you want to move into a really great neighborhood, right? You don't want to live, made a little money. You made a little extra money now. You're doing good. You got that college education and you want to move your family to the suburbs. You might not be buying a house. You might want to rent, or maybe you're buying a house. But due to that criminal conviction can prevent you from funding, prevent you from that loan, prevent you from moving into that apartment. So how do you move forward? How do you do this? It's almost like that criminal conviction. It is like that criminal conviction actually keeps you stuck in one place in society, despite the hard work. Let me just shout out my people. I'm always talking to y'all that have been locked up and y'all, those who are in recovery. We talk to the people that have never been arrested, right? So you could get a concept of this, right? Imagine you not getting a job because you got a D in 8th grade, right? You go for this really dope job. You go for this job and you walk in there, you apply for the job. Everything is great. They say, you know what? You're a great hire. We're going to give you the job because this has happened to me, right? So they send you for the urinalysis and the physical. Everything looks great. They make you the offer. And then they call you back into the office and say, oh, Ruth, we can't hire you because you got a D in 8th grade. You'd be like, what? Like 8th grade? That happened so long ago. But see, I'm just trying to make that concept understand, number one, what it feels like. Imagine them judging you off of something that happened in junior high school. Imagine, and this is for my people who have never experienced that door being closed. You're qualified. You're qualified for the position. You might even be overqualified for the position, right? And I'm giving you this, and I appreciate this because we need to be able to articulate this to people who may not have the same experience. They'd be like, well, you went to jail. I don't really understand what you're talking. Well, wait a minute. Let's make it a little bit more simple. If you imagine somebody saying, well, in high school, you skipped class or you did something. Well, you'll be standing there trying to explain that was high school. That's the same thing that we do when we get denied a position. You'd be like, you know how long ago that was? You still talking about that? We still got, and I'm going to just bring this to, we got family members that like to remind us, those of us that have those histories that like to remind us what we used to be like. No matter how many degrees we get, they still like to remind us. And that's the way the system is for people. Now, I've been doing this for a little while. But imagine the pain that a person who just came home after doing some big numbers feels when that door gets closed in their face. How do we support them? How do we support them with that no? We got to bring it back to them. You got many no's inside. You got to know how to deal with these no's out here because these no's out here hurt. These no's out here hurt, and we need to be able to work with these people that are getting those no's. And sometimes those no's are coming constantly. And then let's throw COVID into the mix and all these things. And all they really want to do is just survive. They just want to survive. And guess what? They're forced almost to go back to a lifestyle that they know where the no will not be told. You could go back to the street. The street always hiring. The street always got jobs for you. But the consequences and the price that the price that you have to pay to go back to the hood just to get food on your table, not to get a Mercedes, not to get a fat chain, just to eat, just to get your kids from school clothes. School just started. You know, there are people struggling right now deciding if they're going to make the choice to go back to the street because they can't get a job based off a decision that they made. They can't get a job and they want to put sneakers on their kids' feet so they could go to school. Come on, man. We're not playing no games. We really talk about criminal justice reform, but let me tell you, we're really talking about human rights, talking about housing. We're talking about employment. We're talking about livable wages. Well, we're not just saying, oh, well, you know, it sounds pretty. But understand, man, there is a whole society of people that are being excluded from being able to function in day-to-day living. Come on, man. Let's get to the hard work. You do, man. Despite the hard work that you've done. And I celebrate each and every one of you that are here, that are looking at this presentation, who have successfully transitioned from incarceration to the community and now are working and got degrees. I salute you. But understand, according to one estimate, there are currently 12 million of us formerly incarcerated individuals in the United States. I believe that number is a little higher, representing roughly 8%. Even though there's 12 million, 8% of the working age population, right? So there's, you know, eligible to work, able-bodied to work, but yet these criminal convictions are keeping those individuals from actually working or finding jobs with a livable wage. This is something that we need to be talking about, not just now, every day, every chance we get. We need to be fighting. We need to be talking to our legislators, making sure that the criminal record is not a barrier to housing, not a barrier to employment. We're talking human rights, not even about a barrier to medical care, my friends. So when we start to look at like the collateral consequences that impact a broad range of fields and industries, the top 10 are shown, right? Healthcare. You want to work in healthcare? Public employment, education, schools. And you know, I want you to think about this. I want you guys to think about this. Some of the best people are not entering these fields because of a decision that was made, a mistake that happened in their past, yet they paid their debt to society and still may not be eligible for what we call really good jobs in many of our states. Healthcare, public employment, educational, schools, banking, lending, gaming. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of these are justified. If you stole some money from a bank, you probably shouldn't work at a bank. I know some of y'all are thinking that, so I got to be clear. Yeah, you probably was messing with the money. You're probably not going to work at the casino. But should you be denied a right to be able to properly take care of your family and yourself? I mean, that's a little extreme right there. In our country, this country here is one of the, to my knowledge, because I work with a lot of different countries, Norway, Germany, you see these countries where the incarceration, the loss of freedom is the punishment. After you get out, you get all your stuff back and you get to be a citizen again. Here, it's like the scarlet letter. You are banned from. Hold on. I know some of y'all went to go get a snack. I know because I can hear you eating right now. I can hear you. I hear you. That's all right. So let me just say that again. Other countries, the loss of freedom is the punishment. In this country, we all know that punishment happens on the way in and on the way out. The punishment don't stop, right? And then when I have to talk to COs and corrections officers a lot. And I said, when you got hired, no one told you to go in there in the application process. No one said, do you have the capability of dehumanizing people? Do you have the ability to treat people less than human? Because that's what we need you to do. They don't ask you to do that. They take on some, not all, some take on the role to dehumanize people on a day-to-day basis, right? When I went to prison and the judge sentenced me, They sentenced me to 5 years, but they didn't say 5 years of dehumanizing treatment. They didn't say, oh, you're going to get 5 years of, when I pled guilty, they didn't say it was to be dehumanized, yet these systems dehumanize you on a regular basis. As we sit here today, somebody is being dehumanized right now, being treated less than human in a cell in the system across the country, feeling less than, right? Their food's coming through the floor, coming through on the floor, being treated ill-mannered. Then they come home to you and they expect you to help them get right. This is why we got to know this work. We got to know this work. We got to be passionate about this work. And we all know that everybody is not as passionate as me. And you got to understand cultures. Can we talk about cultures real quick? I am not upset. Well, I am a little upset. But this is how I display passion. This is how I display passion. And you got to understand that sometimes when people are passionate, it comes across as they may be a little upset. So I might be a little bit of both. So I'm going to let this keep going, though. How we doing? Let me know how we doing. We doing right, man? Thumbs up, man. Give me some hearts or something, man. I'm not even sure if my Zoom is working. Okay. I'm seeing it. All right. Y'all making me nervous. I thought I was frozen. I thought I was in here by myself, man. Let's go. Things almost for life nervous because of a choice that you made. I challenge anyone that's starving to not steal a loaf of bread if they had no other way to pay for it. I think this is something that we need to talk about as a country, as people, but definitely as individuals. I'm hoping that there's some disruptors paying attention to this PowerPoint today. I'm paying attention to this webinar. I'm hoping there's some disruptors and that I'm getting you fueled up to go out there and disrupt these systems that continuously keep people out. Real estate, property, childcare, and construction, right? Triggering offenses, right? Like we said, some is 50% is any felony, crimes laundering money and controlled substances offenses, right? I know that there are some states and some people who will tell you that you can't get financial aid because of selling drugs and all these other categories. We need to be addressing these issues because many times, an individual that's incarcerated. Let me talk to you for a second, my friends. When you're incarcerated, many of us want to come home and do the right thing. We want to come home and do the right thing. So we do everything that we can to prepare ourselves to re-enter the community. Go to programs, go to NA, AA, fatherhood, anger management, whatever we needed, we felt that we needed to work on, we did that. And we think we prepared ourselves properly. So what happens is, and I always talk about the pebbles and the boulders. You see, my friends, the boulders are the things that you can see. You can see them, you know how to navigate around them, you get around them, hanging out with certain people is a boulder in some people's lives, right? Maybe some family is boulders. Right? Maybe the environment could be a boulder. So you know how to navigate around that. You've done the work. You've done the work to get past that. But my friends, there is the pebbles are the things that we didn't think of. It's the pebbles that slip us up. It's the pebbles that we slip on. It's the pebbles that keep tripping us up. Like going to a relative. I'm going to my sister's house, but yet your sister, you thought that you could go there, and then you found out because she her house, she's under Section 8, you can't go there, so now you can't go there. So you didn't make a plan A. I always say make a plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan D, and sometimes you might even need a plan E. See, it's the pebbles that trip us up, the things that we didn't think about, the things that we thought we had everything planned out, and it's the pebbles that make us slip. So I want to make sure that when we're working with these individuals, we focus on the pebbles, the small things. You got to think of everything possible and then still use. So we talk about the pebbles and the boulders, and I want to make sure that we hit this point because I know we got a lot of people who work in behavioral health. We have some substance use addictions counselors here. I want to make sure that those pebbles come in all different shapes and forms, right? So the boulders are the stuff you can see. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. But the pebbles are I'm on MAT now. How do I explain that to my employer? I'm doing these different things now. I'm living a different life. I don't want to live like that no more. But yet my family or where I'm from, because many times I hear brothers say, yeah, I got to go back to the same place. How am I going to be different? What is that going to look like? And how do I navigate that? How do I tell people that I don't live like that no more? You want to open a barbershop? Then you got to make sure that these dudes that sell drugs don't come to your barbershop. And because you used to be that dude, how are you going to do that? How are you going to make these points? And we need, as people, I don't care what role you play in their life, because there were many people who said things in my life that were very inspirational, from a cab driver to a corrections officer to a homeless dude that said things to me that have impacted my life and made me who I am today. So don't think because you're not a counselor or a peer or whatever, if you're a person and you're a human being and you feel the need to tell somebody that may be inspiring to help them put their life on track, then you need to interject. You need to disrupt. You need to let them know that they are better than their behavior was back then. I don't care what you did then. I don't want to know who you are today. Come on, man. Those pebbles keep people tripping, because I'm stuck back in the day when I used to get in trouble. I'm stuck on this. I'm a person. I have an addiction issue. I'm stuck because I got a mental health challenge. No, that's okay. We're going to show you how to live with all that out here. Come on, man. Still might miss something, because there are so many barriers that an individual will face upon reentry, right? The criminal justice obligations right off the top. If you're on parole and probation, there's an expectation. They may want you to go to groups. They may want you to do this. You need to show up a certain time. Maybe there's only one time that you can meet with your officer. So those obligations must come first, many a time in a person's life. But then you might owe child support, no child care. So you get a job that's paying minimum wage, but because you owe child support, because you were incarcerated, you got behind in your child support, now your wages are being garnished for child support. So how does that individual ever get out of that hole? Lack of stable housing. So now that there's no stable housing, I might end up living in a place that might not be good for me transitioning, or my parole or probation officer may say, I don't like that neighborhood. So you might end up homeless. So limited supports, lack of employment, lack of education. There's so many barriers to successful reentry. I want us that are paying attention to this webinar, the next year, I want to be able to take some of these off and say, we've taken care of that. In my community, we offer a clothing closet, and many people give me suits and dress clothes for individuals that are returning citizens, individuals that are in recovery. We collect those clothes. So when an individual has a job interview, or they're going to a funeral or a wedding, you need a suit and you can't afford one, we got you. This is one of the things that we are trying to do in my community, that you can do in your community. Find a space. If you got a suit, donate it to somebody who needs a suit. Come on, man. This is how we help that's just how we help each other. And moving forward, we talk about many of you across the country have worked on the Van the Box, where they no longer can ask, and that's great work, where they no longer can ask, have you been incarcerated? But understanding, as of 2018, 80%, hold on, man. Y'all not listening, man. I'm going to stop. Should I say it louder? I'm losing my voice because I'm getting excited, right? Because this is frustrating. 80% I like this employers conduct background screenings on candidates for full-time positions. Here you are, here an individual is, and each and every one of you that is paying attention to this webinar today should be upset. Here is a person that has paid their debt to society, done everything they could, show up, got the suit on, they engage well, they're promising they're going to show up for work, and we say no. No, not, imagine if it was different. Imagine if you were applying for a job and you did everything right, and they said, oh, wait a minute, in 5th grade, you got a D. In the 5th grade, you got a D, so we can't hire you. You'd be like, are you serious? And this is what it's like to be denied a position when with a criminal record, right? Someone using something from your past to prevent you from having a stable future. Come on, man. We got to make that change, man. We got to do something better. We are better. We can do better. But it's not just employment, my friends. Social exclusion, the poverty trap. And let's be clear. We already started early. A lot of this is rooted in systemic racism. A lot of this is rooted. It's meant to keep people out. So if this is not something that your organization is about, or the foundations of your organization, then you should be willing to figure out ways to make change. Make sure you reach out to us at C4 Cares team. Reach out to me. We'll figure out a way to make change, because this is the work that we do. How do we make it more inclusive than exclusive, right? Excluding people, right? So even those who find decent jobs are limited by the background checks, licensing rules. So you never be in a position to own your own business. You can be a worker, you can work here, but you'll never be able to own your own business because of the exclusion rules, right? It's much more difficult. Every step is more difficult, right? With that record, right? And I know many of my friends who want promotions, but because of certain barriers, they weren't able to get the education, they weren't able to do this. And you know what the employer says? Oh, if you had that degree, if you had this, if you didn't have that criminal record, we could promote you into that position. So it's nonstop, you know. And if we can go back to those of our individuals that are under supervision, right? Many times, and you know, as taxpayers, many times there's this misconception that the parole or probation officer will help you get this job, will help you find housing, will help you fill out those forms. Well, here's an eye-opening thing, and I know that the numbers have changed. When I talk to people around the country, they say these numbers are even higher. But a parole officer, this is an eye-opening fact. A parole officer can have up to 60. One parole officer can have up to 60 parolees. How many houses, how many jobs do you think he has time to, applications you think he has time to help out with? And on probation, a probation officer can have up to 100 clients on one caseload. So it's going to be difficult for him or her or them or they, right, to do the work that's necessary to help their parolee or parole person successfully transition back into the community, which is why I always advocate for forensic peer supports. You guys are going to get tired of me talking about it, but forensic peers, individuals like myself and many others across the country who have lived experience, need to be trained and working side by side with parole officers, probation officers, in court systems, at DSS offices, and anywhere within the system where justice involved people are there and impacted. We need to make sure people with lived experience are there to help them navigate these systems and reunite themselves within their communities and with their families. That's just, all right, that's just where I'm at. So more important, quickly, I know we really need individuals with lived experience, a part of these conversations, at the table building programs and working with individuals, because we know 1 in 5 adults. I'm gonna stop there real quick. Just wanted to add about the probation and parole officers. We showed about the caseloads, right? You understand about the caseloads, and it's a couple of different things. It should never be, and this is where the systems is messed up, and I love where I see that people are talking about the systems and systemic racism. Understand something. We need criminal justice people to do criminal justice work, criminal justice reform people to do criminal justice reform work. I don't want the probation officer, the parole officer filling out my food stamp card, because basically 9 times out of 10, they've probably never been on food stamps and they're going to screw it up, right? And that's what's happening. We've seen people lose services or get put behind on just because of the ignorance of not understanding how these systems work, right? And so understanding that that should be their role. But when we're doing criminal justice reform work, we can't be policing people either. We can't be doing urinalysis. We can't be doing things that will put people back. We're trying to uplift people. So a lot of times these roles get confused and then it's based on your organization, no structure. But if I'm a peer and I'm supposed to be supporting you, I can't do anything that's going to help you get back or put you back in prison. That's just me. That is me telling you how we need to be very clear with our roles, because that person needs to be able to come to me and confide in me when they're struggling with issues in the community or struggling where I might end up back in prison. If they don't trust me and they worried about me going back to tell somebody, oh, Joe is blah, 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 unless their life is in danger or someone else's, because we make that clear too. Other than that, I'm there to support you 100%. I've been diagnosed with a serious mental illness. I ate some, and you guys that work, you do this work, I salute you and I commend you for the work that you do. But you know that many of us that are getting out come out with some mental health challenges, right? Right. So therefore, there may be PTSD. I know I struggle with, I'm a survivor of institutionalization. I struggle with a lot of trauma issues, right? So there's all that. And then I'm also a person in long-term recovery, which means I haven't used a substance since May 7th, 2007. Wow. Is moving forward. And, and I'm truly grateful. But I know that many of the people that are being released today or tomorrow, as we speak, as I sit here doing this presentation, there's somebody that's getting out tomorrow that's actually scared. Scared of what they're going to face, what their challenges are going to be. So we need to be working on that, because approximately like 1.9 million individuals report with serious mental illness in U.S. jails, and many continue, right? So these unaddressed issues, where I talk about trauma a lot, cycle in and out of our criminal justice system and our mental health facilities, behavioral health facilities. I want to add real quick about the mental health piece. A lot of times, because of the discriminatory practices that happen in prison, many of our people do not seek mental health treatment inside, because the COs will be like, everybody lines up for their medical. A lot of people don't even go to meds, because you might be going to get some cream for a rash, but because it's during Medline, people don't want to go because they don't want you to think that they are on some type of medication. So, and then people that need medication don't go get medication. So a lot of times people suffer through that whole system and then get out and in desperate need or could use some medication, but don't get it because of the discrimination or the stigma that's on the inside. So the work that you're doing have to say, listen, you could benefit from, or let us support you in. And there ain't nothing wrong with being Black or brown and seeing a therapist. We're not saying that, like, listen, we got to get beyond that and say, especially if you just did 18, 20 years, you might want to talk to somebody, right? I'm going to support you as a peer. I'm going to support you as a mentor, but I also need you to see somebody professionally. We need to start changing those narratives as minorities, because that has been a blocker for our people getting better. And that's why a lot of us continue to cycle in and out of systems, because you know what? Some real good therapy goes on in jail. I done had some real good therapy cells, some good therapy sessions with brothers in prison, because I had somebody to talk to. I had somebody to bounce that off of. We need to replicate those systems out here in the community. Due to unaddressed issues, right? So an individual may go inside and have a behavioral health challenge, and because of the stigma, they don't get the treatment or the medication that they need while they're inside. So they're released, probably with those issues in heightened, right? And now they're out there in the community struggling as well. And so we need to be focusing on creating a space where it's safe for individuals to come in and say, I need help. Justice involved individuals with psychiatric illness and addiction issues face daunting barriers to recovery and reintegration. That's a no-brainer. I like to put that there, a little bit of my Captain Obvious there, right? If you already have a criminal record and then you're dealing with some behavioral health issues as well as addiction issues, your problems are only going to be even more, right? Trying to get employment without dealing with those issues first. Just pop these. You already know these statistics. We already talked about them. We're getting short on time. I just want to make sure that I shout you out, number one, and thank you for the opportunity for me to be here with you. Always join us at CARES and C4. I'm going to kick it to Ayana real quick and let her do some closing remarks. There's about 6 minutes left on the video, but we're going to share that with y'all. Feel free to please reach out, check in with us, stay connected. And we're doing this together. So this is just the start of change. So if you're trying to be an advocate, if you're trying to change something in your state, let us know. Let us know how we can help. Let us know how we can support you. We're in the building. Anna, how we doing? What's good?
Yeah, so we can take a Q&A now. For anyone who has any questions to pose to Daryl, please feel free to post in the chat box. I believe you also have your audio option, so you can feel free to take yourself off of mute and ask a question out loud.
Unmute yourself. Tell me how you doing. How we doing? Tell me I sucked. If it wasn't good, say, yo, you know what? Find another job. But appreciate you. Appreciate all of you staying there, sticking it out. How y'all doing? How we doing? Talk to me, Chris. How you doing, brother? What's good? I see you. Talk to me. Hey. Say hi. Something.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
I'm good. I can identify with a lot of what you said. I am a person of background. I've spent 25 years of my life incarcerated through 4 different, stints in prison. The last time was 14 and a half years. And I understand the struggle coming home, having a huge, gap in your employment history, trying to overcome that, and being told no. I went to school to become a recovery specialist, and I remember interviewing for one organization for a PAD program. I had done an internship with one PAD program, police assisted diversion. So I interviewed for a position with another PAD program. The person interviewing me wanted to hire me, but their HR department said that they wanted for me to have more time removed from my incarceration to work in conjunction with Philadelphia and transportation police. Yet, so you want to help people with background, but you're not willing to give a person with that background the chance to work with them. So, that was kind of discouraging, and those things sort of have to change. One good thing in Pennsylvania is there is a big movement for pardons. I had posted it in the chat. It's becoming easier to get pardons now in Pennsylvania. Once you're 5 years removed from serving your sentence, you can apply for a pardon. And, then those collateral consequences, go away because your record's expunged. I wish it was like that on the federal level. The federal level, you can receive a presidential pardon and it doesn't come off your record. The federal courts have no inherent right to expunge a record. So that I'm hoping at some point that maybe, that will change and some, congressman or senator will start, to change that in the future. I want to go to school to become a nurse. And
we're going to put that on the list, brother. And, definitely.
But, I couldn't do that because of can't get licensed with the background. Your
brother want to be a nurse. I appreciate you. I'm actually speaking in Pennsylvania tonight, man, at the recovery event. Man, I'm out there. I'm in the building. I'm supposed to be coming soon. Yeah, I'm coming to. I'll be at the recovery kickoff tonight, man. I'm there, and then I think they're having something at Penn's Landing. I'm in Philly, man. Shameless plug. I'm in the building.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else want to real quick chime in? Is it Carice? How do you say your name?
Yeah, it's Karis.
Karis, how you doing?
Karis like Paris. Hey, first of all, thank you so much for the presentation. Powerful. And I think I really want to also thank you for really touching on the intersections of race disparities, mental health and substance use conditions, and criminal justice. Like if you can't figure all of that out together, it's not going to help everybody together. So I really, really thank you for raising that up and making us aware of the work that we have to do. And one of the things I want to ask, and I know there's talk about the expungement, but one of the things I'm wondering is it helpful to think about people don't think about talking about expungement until somebody's ready to be employed. And I say, no, if somebody is entering into especially a mental health system, ask them about their criminal justice experience right away and start expungement right away. Don't wait until they say, oh, I'm ready for employment or I'm ready for education. No, just go ahead and do it because the process isn't overnight. Is that a good way to think about that?
Well, yeah.
I know it's like
Well, I think it depends on the situation and the individual, right? And I think that you're right. But we also talk about reentry. A lot of times reentry, they wait 60 days to 90 days before release. Well, reentry should start at the beginning of the sentence and not the end. You can't wait to 60 days out for somebody to be like, oh, they're homeless or whatever. You need to be checking in with people from the beginning, doing all of that. So we should be checking that. And I agree with the expungement piece. When a person is ready to be in that space, we should automatically have a lot of automatic expungements, depending on the crime and the situation. I think that is important. And you know what? And I'm not even opposed to, and I will be the first to say this. I said this in my state when we were talking. I don't mind if somebody could go, if I get arrested, they could go back and still look and see that, if I did that again. But that should not prevent me from housing, employment, and all these other things. In a criminal setting, a criminal court setting, if they have that information, that's fine. As long as I don't do any more crimes, that's the only place that should be a factor. But in the community, what does that have any bearing on where I work? How, you know what I mean? A lot of that is, it was said in the chat box, it's rooted in systemic racism, right? It's rooted to keep individuals stuck in a certain place. There are so many rules and collateral consequences across this country that have been in place for decades that keep people out. And this is why we can no longer be silent about it. So we need to be really talking about this. Thank you. So I appreciate your comment. Anyone else? How you doing, Chris? Just saying hi. I see you.
Doing great. You guys are awesome.
Oh, thank
really
you.
Inspired my coworker and myself. We do community engagement. We go into the courts and pull people out. And
Okay.
we help them with all those pebbles you're talking about. And
Yes.
this is exciting. So we can't wait to hear more from you guys.
Oh, awesome. What state are you in? Where you at?
California. We're in Redding, California.
Okay, man. Y'all California, get ready to bring me out there, man. As long as y'all got really good food.
You are
man.
so welcome. Bring it out.
Yes. Bring me out there, man. That's cool, man. I really love the work that they're doing out there in California. So I appreciate it. And getting people out of court, man. I remember I walked my first person out of court after I made my transition. I can't believe they even listened to me. They were like, yeah, you know what? If you with him, you in good hands. I was like, man, so what a gift. What a gift.
Right now, we just work with the ones getting misdemeanors, but we also go back to court with them and we stand up for them. We tell them what we're working on. And normally, most all of them will get their charges dismissed at the end of the whole process if they follow through with it. And we kind of handhold them with all the, like you said, with the CalFresh and all the benefits. We do that with them and make sure that they get it handled like they want it to.
I appreciate you. And those of you that are still on the call, understanding the importance of that kind of work for our young people, especially Black and Brown, right? Because we know about the racial disparities. And educating, if you work with youth, telling them how important it is not getting that first felony. We need a movement that's so strong that these young brothers and sisters understand that first felony could be a career ender. You don't even have to go to jail. All you got to do is get the felony. And we know that the system has been designed to pop those felonies quick. You see certain people walk right out of court. You see other people, they be like, yo, all I was doing was walking on the grass. Yeah, that's a felony here. You like, but I'm just saying. So understanding how certain people, and it's financial too, understanding the different people who have lack of resources for representation find themselves in more serious situations, who find themselves copping out to charges that maybe in a different situation, if they had the money, they would have went home with no charges at all. We know that. We understand that. And there's a lot of money that's rooted around this system. So we need to be disruptors. And I really appreciate each and every one of you that are on this call. Miss Mary, I see you got your hand up. What's good? You on mute. I see you. I see you enjoy. Yo, listen, make sure she get a t-shirt from the lobby. She was enjoying herself. Let's go. You on mute. Come on, man. We want to hear you.
Oh, there we go.
There
Okay.
you go.
I
Let's
just
go.
wanted to say you were on fire. Great presentation. A lot of the information I already knew because this is my life.
Yes.
I also wanted to say that, well, first I want to say I'm Mary McQueen. I'm a California ambassador. I also work for Tri-City Mental Health as a clinical wellness advocate. I've been a peer reentry navigator, certified by CDC for 7 years. I was sentenced to life in prison. I won my own freedom after 13 and a half years. Since I've been home, I go into the juvenile halls. I mentor the youth. I have the juvenile halls calling me. Someone called me yesterday saying that the young girls are getting sentenced to youth authority, but the youth authority has been shut down. You know, so I don't know what's going on, but they asked me to come back in. So yeah, but anyway, I just wanted to say great presentation, and I would love to join the cause and be a voice anytime.
Man,
Anytime.
We together right now. This is how we built this coalition right now. And we need your voice. We need you. We need you. Let me tell you, because there's people I can't reach. And you know what I mean? So we need your voice, because your voice is very powerful, and understanding that the work, especially for women, you know, the women are right now, the numbers for women are going up. Our sisters are getting incarcerated and getting sentences that weren't normal. So now we're starting to see that, the increase. We did see that the men weren't rising, but we started to see an increase in women being incarcerated. We need to be watching that, right? We need to be watching who's going in and out of jail. And we also need to talk about, we didn't get a chance to talk about deportation, right? When the crack epidemic went down, they found a different population to lock up. They started calling things deportation. They started employing ICE and all that stuff. Man, you got to read between the lines. You got to be able to read the fine print. So when those numbers started going down, they found a new group of people to start putting incarcerated, and understanding there's a lot of people that will be inside that are just being held illegally. They didn't even commit a crime, or they haven't had the opportunity to fight their case. They're still in lockup, right? Anybody that has not been convicted is innocent. So we haven't talked about that. We haven't talked enough about that. And we need to be talking about that and talking about, you know, and I love that the piece about the mental health piece that we don't talk enough about. See, a person that commits a crime and we're incarcerated, like myself, I committed a crime, I was incarcerated. But man, do you know you could be in a mental health institution for 10, 20 years and did no crime just based off of a diagnosis? And that, it ain't like in jail, at least you know when you're getting out. You could be in a psychiatric facility for the rest of your life based off of a doctor saying yes or no. Those are the people that I'm trying to get out to. I'm not free till everybody's free. So I appreciate you, Ms. Mary, man. Stay connected. Let's do this. We got a lot of work to do. Anybody else want to chime in real quick? Feel free. Questions in the chat box.
We've got time for one more question. If anyone else has any remaining questions, I just want to highlight that in the chat, we have posted a link to our survey. Please fill out that survey. We absolutely read every comment, and we use that to inform future trainings and events that we hold. So we welcome everyone in this room to provide their feedback. And if you'd like to request CE credits, once you complete that survey, it automatically directs you to the CE form where you can make that request. So I'll put in time for one more question before I move us on to some upcoming events that we have coming up at the care.
Questions, comments, and be nice on that survey so they can bring me back. I want to go to California eventually. Let's go.
Trying to get you over to California.
That's what I'm saying. In Pennsylvania, I do a lot of work in Pennsylvania, man. So a couple of universities I speak at a couple of universities down there. So we will definitely cross paths, Chris.
All right, I'll move us on over here. I just wanted to highlight a couple events that we have coming up for the CARE TA Center. So on September 9th, we are holding a Cafecitos webinar. This is a screening. And the cafecitos, what they are, they're little cups of coffee that we have with an expert or someone who's experienced in the field of crisis care or justice diversion. And what we'll be doing at that screening is showing several different cafecitos, are about 15 to 30, sometimes 40 minutes long. And it's just a brief snapshot, a brief conversation about a hot topic in the crisis care continuum right now. So we invite all of you to come to that. It'll be an interactive session. We'll screen the videos, have time to chat and catch up and hear what you'd like to see upcoming for the Care Center after that. And then after the following week, I believe September 15th, we are hosting the Art of Digital Storytelling. This is actually a series that we'll be hosting throughout October 20th, 6 sessions. And what you do is you come in, you work with a facilitator who teaches you the process of digital storytelling, which is a multimedia process of telling your story and why you come to this work, how you got to this work, what inspires you, what, will keep you going, what, keeps you going through the tough times, and how you use that inspiration to work with clients and work with the community. So we absolutely welcome folks to sign up for that as well. And we'll send this information out after the session, so you're able to register if you are interested. And thank you all so much for attending. Again, we posted the survey in the chat. We read every word. Please take that survey. And if you're interested in the CEUs, it'll be right there. It'll redirect you. And finally, Care TA Center, our information, you can go to our website. It's care-mhsa.org. Plenty of resources available there between our resource library, where you can go in, look at toolkits and guides and previous webinars, sign up for our newsletter if you're not already signed up, and lots of good information on there. So I recommend folks go and visit that. Follow us on our social, also posted. We will send a follow-up email right after this session with the survey link and any handouts or resources that we mentioned in the session today. I want to thank Daryl so much for once again coming to the Care TA Center and hosting this event. It's always a pleasure to have you and to shed light on your experience and just your broad level, your broad lens and lived experience. So I just appreciate you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Always a pleasure. I can't wait for us to do it again. Make sure y'all stick with CARES, man. Reach out to us always.
And with that, I'll give us a few seconds before we close out so people can click that survey link. But thank you all again for being here. We hope to see you again.